My project actually started as a school project, and but ended, recently with me reworking a couple of things. Um, I took from concept to completion about 6 months working alone. Anyone who's worked in animation, and everyone here could probably testify, animation is a team sport, so you need quite a number of people working together as a team to put together, something decent. Usually, more often than not. The flip side to that is if you don't, then you're taking a much longer time doing it on your own. For me, I wanted to be a CG generalist, which is someone who can do every single aspect of the animation pipeline. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to take it all on, and start to do everything from concept to completion. So it started out with concept development. What was the story? So I went in and developed the story on my own, started with developing the characters as well. So that would be drawing all of the characters, designing the characters, moving to, okay, what do I want the storyline to be, having a storyboard for how each of the scenes play out. Then it would be starting to actually model the characters, which is within a 3D animation software. I use Softimage. Start to build them. So put the characters together, building them block by block. And then texturing them, which, something called UV mapping. You would basically, like a box, take the box and flatten it and then paint a texture for it. So that was the process, and then I now went into actually animating.
6 months full time?
So more or less, on a daily basis, long hours as well. Also, anyone who is doing animation will tell you if you don't have a knack for paint, probably it's not what you want to be doing in your life. So yeah, animating that and then ending with rendering out lighting and then rendering out each of those scenes and then finally editing the piece together. So that's basically the pipeline.
Most of the people working at Ante Studios come from different software backgrounds, and it's really difficult. Typically, the known software for animation and what they call it, film, is usually Maya, which is the one they use in logos and stuff. And but in Nigeria, you find that that's really, 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 really weird, because most people start out on their own and they're doing this software, doing that software. So as a studio, we decided, do we halt everybody's progress and say, okay, go learn the software and start working with us with that? We decided not to go that route, and we decided, okay, fine, we're just going to use all the software. We have people coming from Blender, people coming from Maya, people coming from what other software? 3ds Max, which I will be in case. And what we did was we had to come up with a pipeline to work on different software at once. And so far it's been quite weird and cool at the same time, because there are softwares that can do certain things and software that can't do certain things. And typically we tend to model in, we have a modeler called Triumph. He models in Maya, gives it to the lighting artist, which he has started doing lighting now. But I formally used to do lighting, the whole lighting process, and we do that in Max, and then we have people animating in Maya, bring it back to Max. So it's a very unusual process, but for us it works because we don't have to stop anybody's progress, and people tend to be able to do things in certain softwares better than they do in other softwares. So it's a process we decided to take on, and so far it's been working for us.
Sorry, on the software, do these softwares speak to each other naturally, or do you guys
not naturally? We basically have to do a process called, we have to export the geometry out, and sometimes it doesn't quite work out as we want. Sometimes the characters are way bigger, and then we try to look for workarounds around that, but never really found a solution. Sometimes software just act up, and you have to work with it. So we basically found a process where we have a helper to basically scale down the characters every time we export. So if you import character into a scene, you have a helper that's helping you scale down the characters to the original size. Um, it
When you
was
say help, is that human?
Like
help us in math, locate us in
Right,
math.
okay, okay.
And it's weird. It's a weird process.
Yeah,
It's a weird process for us, so it's not a process I can really explain. You kind of have to be there to understand the process. So. Well, number of people. For now, we have about 6 animators in the company, and one modeler, one concept artist. We don't typically follow the way the pipeline all the time, because we don't usually have that time to follow that process. Following the process usually takes time, so you don't really always have the time to follow that process. Whereas when you have the storyboard done, and then they give it to the animators, and then they start animating. Sometimes we animate flyby. We just do it on the fly. Sometimes we take the storyboard and do the storyboard. What we tend to go with is how the animator feels about that particular shot. If the animator feels like, oh, okay, I really want to do this thing where the guy, and he tells the director, and they kind of have like a walk around, like, okay, do this, do that. Okay, fine, you want to add this, add that, and then so we don't typically follow the streamlined process. There's a process, but we don't follow the typical process. So it's a bit hard to explain.
The Dawn of Thunder project was experimental, and the reason why we did it was also to kind of give an example of how to go around some of the infrastructural issues we have in this country and still have a result. I'm a 3D journalist. I'm also an animator. In this country, anything that's hard outside the country is even harder here. You have to push harder. You get what I'm saying? So this particular project, when we looked at it, we said, okay, look, it's quite ambitious. What do we need to do to get it done? It took about a year of planning between my team members. Both of us were remote within Nigeria. That's quite an interesting thing that I like to throw out there, because everybody seemed passionate about the project, so nobody needed to be flogged. Although we have there's a production manager here sitting down there in the corner who kept us in check. So we had to come up with our own system, you understand, for this particular project. We wanted to see if it worked, first of all. We wanted to see if everybody liked it, if it was something that if it was content that worked as well. So in terms of the system, what we decided was, okay, traditional animation, if we're going to go the traditional animation route, what we're trying to do is semi-realistic. So traditional, while it could work, but it's going to take a longer time. So what do we need to do? Motion capture was something, because I'm also a tech guy, so motion capture is something I've been dabbling in for quite a while now. Just looking into different aspects of it and playing around with stuff. But motion capture is quite expensive. You will testify to that. It's quite expensive. So in my wildest dreams, I never thought that I would even own a motion capture system. But 2 years ago, luckily while I was on Kickstarter, I saw a Chinese company that was they had a project, motion capture system that they were trying to get funding for. So this is quite interesting. And basically, the system worked. It didn't need a studio. You could be outside, inside, anywhere. It worked on everything. It had its flaws, quite horrible. I was like, okay, it would take us half of the way again. So I said, okay, let me see what I could do and put some money there, because I was going to get free suits anyway, because the money was quite tiny compared to how much the suit was going to be. So we said, okay, yeah, we're ready to go, we're good to go. In terms of the workflow, we have about, I'm very hands-on, and the most reason why I was so hands-on was I decided that I didn't want to spend money on this project because it was risky. I was doing it in Yoruba. It might end up very bad. Everybody may say, what the hell are you doing? So I just said, you know what, I'll try as much as possible not to spend money on this project as much as I can. Let's see how far we can go with this. So basically, I started, I was started creating characters and all that just to kind of encourage my team members. So they loved what they were seeing, they were on board and all that. And then one of the major parts of the project, which is the sound, which I had a couple of ideas of what I wanted to do. Because I'd dabbled in sound before, but I was not like, would I now do sound again? Like it wasn't going to, like it was going to be too much. The guy who reached out to me on LinkedIn, he saw some of my work we were doing and everything. I was like, look, I would like to work with us on anything. And luckily we're working on the project right now. So I was like, okay, fine. Have you heard of Hans Zimmer? I threw some stuff at him. And I said, I'd like something epic, orchestral, with a bit of African, so that, the whole Yoruba drum thing, if we can incorporate that, then it would be lovely. And the guy blew me away, as in, it's a passion project, so immediately I listened to it. I just said, this is it. You understand? He was waiting for like, okay, revision. I said, just sleep, go and sleep. He's done it, just go and sleep. So that kind of gingered everybody also. I'm really thankful that he came through because, everything seemed to be coming together. For the facial motion capture, this thing where if you don't ask, you will never know. The company, they're like the second best facial motion capture company in the world, and they work with Sony Entertainment, EA Games, and a lot of big companies and all that stuff. So I sent them a mail and kind of broke it down to them like, we're working on this project, blah 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 blah. We really need facial animation, facial motion capture, and it would be nice if you could help in any way you can. I don't have the money for you guys, so but whatever you can do. So I said, okay, I'll give you like a 2 months license, see and let's see what you guys can do with it, So we said, okay, so that means we have only just 2 months to complete this thing, you get. So we took an entire day for 24 hours to record the body motion capture. Once we were started up with motion capture, we had to, because we didn't have like, most of you have seen like the making of Avatar with the head mounts and all that. We didn't have that. So we had to come up with a system where we record the head separate, record the body separate, then, try and see how we could merge the two where it makes sense. So in terms of vegetation, we did a little bit of research on the kind of trees that you find in southwestern Africa and southwestern Nigeria. I wrote the script in English, but I needed it translated in Yoruba, so I reached out to he's a linguist and a voiceover artist, actor, one baba like that, so I reached out to him and I told him what we were trying to do. He was so pumped to it, he said, okay, let's see the script. So he translated it. Some of his translations were really long, and I knew that, I needed like kind of compact but still punchy. So I said, okay, I know it's a Jila Yoruba, but let's see how we can, get, it has to be cinematic enough. Like, it has to feel like it's for a movie. It's not for theater. It's not for. So he did what he could do and everything. I also used him for the facial animation because I wanted it to be authentic as well. I didn't have like a super machine. I had patience. Does that make sense? Like, I already planned what I wanted to do long before, so I knew, okay, based on this, if I render maybe some elements separately, maybe background separately, I don't need to render the background for every frame. It will be just the character. You understand? Tweak a little bit, do a few, just some post-production stuff and all that. Sometimes, you understand? If it was absolutely necessary, like the scenes in the shrine, like each major scene took like 3-4 days to render. You understand? So I had to wait, literally wait. We had budgeted for power generation, so we were running overnight continuously. And then we were working on the next shot on another system, which wasn't so powerful. But once we were done with that shot, we took it to the system that was more powerful to render. So that's how we're shifting things up and down, up and down. It was quite interesting seeing everything come together. By the time it all came together and we watched it the first time, we were surprised. That's what's, it was quite, even if it wasn't the best thing, it was quite good. we knew we could do better, but we were very satisfied with what we had come up with. We basically spent like $400 on the whole thing because of the support we got and everything. We didn't spend money, and after the thing came out, it went viral, semi-globally. I'll say semi-globally because we didn't do any digital marketing. We didn't push it, everybody was just sharing it. So we didn't even spend money on marketing. That just shows that if you have something good, when Plaything came out, the thing went bonkers everywhere. You understand? So it's more of just creating good content. One thing I noticed about sorry, I'm going off. I just want to just mention if you're going into animation, it's not just about the love for animation. You have to think of the business side of things. It has to be something that can actually turn into something, and if people believe in it, they'll jump on board. But if they don't see that, if they just see that something that just playing around, nobody's gonna come on board. And that's one thing that it's not just about the money. That's what I'm trying to tell people. That I didn't spend money on this thing, as far as I'm concerned. Do you understand? I should have spent like tens of thousands of dollars, but I didn't spend money on it. So it's more of coming up with good content that would move. So.
So as far as the process, that's what essentially the pipeline is what the process is. So like say a scene that involves aliens shooting. Okay, say like any Marvel movie, it always involves superheroes fighting and aliens and all that sort of stuff. So the first thing would be, okay, you shoot the thing on screen. Okay, so say in a scene where you have Captain America and Incredible Hulk and fighting in a scene, and there's some aliens that hook up. So Captain America obviously is a real person, so you shoot him against blue screen. Incredible Hulk, obviously he's not real, so somebody has to basically model him, like create the model in the computer. Somebody has to texture him, which is essentially painting the green, the texture of the freckles on his face and making him look real. Somebody has to rig the character, so essentially when it's made in the computer, it's just like dummy. And somebody has to add like bones, essentially, which is called rigging, so you can animate it and move it around. So once that's done, so it's like different people doing different things. So on the level like this, so the movie where they're spending $100 million, every single person they get is specialized in what they do. Because it's one thing, generalists are great, and especially with the smaller studios, you find generalists because it's like you want somebody who can wear a lot of hats, so they can do a lot of things. But with the bigger studios where they have a huge budget, it's like, okay, we want the person, I know you can do A, B, C, D, but which do you do best? And the one you do best is what you focus on, and that's what they hire you for. So after the rigging is done, then you bring in the animator who actually does the animation. So Hulk is fighting the guy. So Captain America is here on the blue screen, and Hulk is not really there. So obviously somebody has to interact with him, so the actor knows what he's doing, and he's not just wanting in the air. So that's when you see on set somebody wearing like the green leotard or something. So that person is essentially painted out, and then once once Incredible Hulk is done animated, somebody has to light him to look like he's in the right scene with everybody else. And then once the lighting is done, somebody has to render it, which is what we were talking about with having to run these machines overnight. Like this huge banks of machines, computers, just running. What's that? Oh, okay, so if you pause, go back. So like a scene like this, for instance, obviously she's real, everything is digital in the background. So you see like atmosphere and all that stuff, that's somebody else's job to produce like, what they call it effects. Not to be mistaken with visual effects, as in like physical effects. So if there's stuff like that has to do with like dynamics, so there's a cloth that's moving in the wind, there's water that's pouring, there's smoke that's or dust that's kicking up when they're fighting, all that stuff. Somebody has to do that. And then once all that is done, then everything, so like the cooking thing, you have all your ingredients, then you have the compositor who's in charge of putting all the elements together, pulling the blue screen, making sure everything looks like it was shot the same day with the same camera and everything. And then it's his job to make everything look real. So if it doesn't look real, it's the compositor's fault. He's the one that screwed up. So when you watch a film and you're like, something about it looks fake, that's when the compositor messed up. It's like it takes a lot of people. That's why you watch these movies and it's just like names. At the end, it's a lot of people to do stuff like this. So for a movie like this, where basically half the movie is all done on blue screen, it could be somewhere in like 2,500 shots to do. So it's a lot of people. I did about maybe 10, just me, to do 10 of shots for one film. So like they have different people doing several amounts of shots. So you put everything together and then you get the whole thing. So actually, again, to plug your blog, if you go to her blog, you can see I have some shots of where you can see like actually the before and after, so the blue screen and then what it ended up looking like at the very end. So as far as the amount of people, a ton of people, depending on the complexity of the thing. It could be one person, it could be 50 people. Usually the size of the teams I work with, usually about 50 people for one team. And for one movie, basically one team handles a sequence. So for a movie, there's several sequences, several VFX sequences, so each team is about 50 people. So you can end up being like 400 people working on one film. So it's a lot of people. Obviously, these people have money, and it's like, they're willing to drop down $100 million because they know this movie is literally going to make $1 billion. Like Alice in Wonderland made, the first one made $2 billion worldwide. $2 billion. So of course they greenlit the second one. They were like, of course there's money on the table, we'll make another one. I'm not sure how much the second one did, but I know the first one definitely cost into the billions. And if you look on IMDb, like the top 10 highest grossing movies of all times, the first 20 are all visual effects and all animation. Because that's literally the only thing that's making that kind of money these days.
What do you do?
I do, I wouldn't even call myself a generalist anymore. Like back in the day when I started out, I was trying to do the generalist thing. But when you start working on the bigger budget movies, they want you to just do one thing. Even if you say, oh, I'm a generalist, you're like, no, what do you do? So I focused on compositing, which is what I love because I want to be the guy putting everything together, and also lighting. So I do compositing and lighting. That's kind of like my focus.
Alright, okay, just for all the young animators thinking about getting a team or thinking about putting their own project together, like what do you recommend for an end game where they can actually, pay for the generator to stay on? Where they can actually get money.
Okay. It pays to have a side gig, but the truth about it is, as an animator, it's kind of a full-time thing, unfortunately. You have to sacrifice everything. You have to sacrifice, like, you don't have a life, everything out the window. Unfortunately, that's the bad news. Unfortunately, if you have a partner who, like, my wife is my partner, she understands everything, so I'm cool. But everybody has that luxury. So the truth about it is, if you want to do that, have a side gig, and do farming or something that brings in money. But that's the thing. In fact, in this country in particular, as well, because it's harder. Like I said, anything in this country is actually harder than outside. So you have to like double your effort.
Well, also for people who are really into rendering and stuff, you could also look into online rendering. Back in the days when when Antio started, we used to do manual rendering on the everything was rendered on one system for a month. One system for a month. And that was really, really stressful. And it was just a measly 3-minute shot. What if we were doing a movie? It won't make any sense. So, you could look into online rendering. Typically now, we would have about 5 minutes rendered out in probably a day. Because we've kind of gotten into the online rendering game. It helps, it's expensive, but it helps. It helps to keep a budget for your rendering. I think that will help you a lot. So you don't have to go through this stress of it. And obviously it gives you more time to animate. Yeah, you don't have to cut corners to your animation ends up looking
because of rendering time.
Just because of that.
I think to add to what they've said, the rule of working smart also applies in this. Because you could look at, you need to, and the terrain that we work in kind of makes you need to actually invest in thinking of smarter ways to work around things. For instance, you could be working on a scene that has a background that is static. Instead of rendering each frame of that, you could render just that one static and then bring that in, in
Composite.
And also to add to what you said, you could also do things like camera mapping. Like the shot you guys saw the camera was panning from that control in Nigerian port or whatever. The signboard there was actually rendered after the shot. What I did was render one frame of the signboard and then save that frame and the camera map that back onto the net and then render that with my default render with No lights, nothing, just.
I'll just I'll add one more thing, right? When we were working on this, we kind of used the methodology, okay? You know, like, for instance, like areas that have vegetation, you know, what we did was we rendered a few planes of trees, you understand?
Background.
Especially the ones that are going to be
There are
distant,
four.
a few planes of trees,
And
and, you know,
pictures.
just arrange them with depth. The little depth, we did a little color correction, so as it goes further down, it kind of fades, like, it saturates a little. So as it goes further down, you know, there's some depth to it. You get. So as long as the camera is not moving, it should be fine. For shots like that, so you have to analyze the shot and think of how do you optimize
How do you cheat?
this shot to make sure that it works. As in the speed, you know, you have to waste your whole time rendering that shot. You get what you want out of it. What happens is the result that matters, the output. Nobody asks you how you got there. When they see the final thing, if it looks good, it looks good. So you have to think of the fact that, okay, how do I get to that result? Not how do they say in Hollywood, like, which system do they use, blah, blah, blah. No. The output, like, how does it look like finally? How do I get there? That's what you should be thinking about. So just be smart about it.
So,
Are we good?
Thank you. Thank you very much.